All right, so this is something that I think we pretty much have to talk about in the wake of what's happened recently. There's this news. There's also the news that Trump has tweeted out and been talking about increasing gun control laws. Um, and then we have this story where Texas is actually relaxing its gun control laws after these recent mass shootings, obviously, the one of them being in Texas. So basically, what Texas is switching is that they just want to expand the places where you can carry, basically, in that I'm not sure exactly what the laws the Trump administration wants to propose. I know they're talking about the red flag laws, but those aren't always what some people think they are. Is always different than what other people think they are. So I think you'd have to wait until they come out with an exact proposed policy change before you listen to whatever they're going to say or get a position on what they're going to say. But obviously, I'm against any increase in gun control. The best way to prevent these kind of things is to prevent mental illness in the beginning, rather than increasing gun control. Because if you increase gun control, then people can just kill in another way. It's pointless. And the other thing too is that states with constitutional carry, which is basically the loosest gun control as far as it comes to certain states, because if you're not from the U.S., um, the gun control state to state varies pretty drastically in a lot of cases. There's shall issue, may issue, and constitutional carry basically, and constitutional carry means you can carry concealed as long as you're not as long as you're legally entitled to own a gun in the first place. So those states don't have higher murder rates. They don't have higher rates of mass shootings, any of that stuff. So just based off that, um, I think that the idea that more gun control is going to reduce crime it's kind of laughable if you ask me, because the gun control doesn't reduce the crime. If the gun control reduces the crime, then we should see higher crime rates in the constitutional carry states, which we don't. So that's about the only evidence you need for that. The reason why people always propose gun control, even some people on the right, after these kind of things, is that the real issues with these kind of things are very touchy subjects. Like I said in one of my last videos, is that the real issues in these scenarios is that it's a male thing, it's a mental health thing, and admitting that men are being disproportionately negatively affected in society is not something that people want to hear nowadays. So they ignore it, and they know there's an issue, so they have to blame something, because not saying that there's an issue would make them look even more crazy. So they have to claim there's an issue. So it's gun control. It's not that, these, like I said in one of my last videos, these shootings are overwhelmingly men, and females have just as much access to guns as men do. So why aren't they committing mass shootings? It's because it's a thing that's disproportionately affecting men in society. Which the reason why people don't want to acknowledge that is because we have this idea in society that women are the gender that faces most sexism, which in reality it's the exact opposite. But people don't want to hear something contrary to that worldview, so they lash out, and they don't want to hear it. The other thing too is that a lot of these people, there's a lot of money involved in putting these kind of people on the SSRIs, doctors' visits, psychologists, all that kind of stuff. Make a lot of money off these people. So it's not just a little bit; it's billions, and they don't want that to happen. And a lot of the politicians' campaigns are funded by these kind of people, even the lower level politicians. So there's a lot of money and or worldview that people just don't want to hear it. So they got to blame guns. I know I'm not sure if it was Trump, but there was a lot of people out there blaming video games for this kind of stuff, which is something that's I thought had been debunked for like decades, but apparently there's still people claiming that it's a big issue. So I think that's laughable if you're going to blame video games, because there's tens of millions of kids out there probably playing a lot of video games, and just the percentage is so small that trying to draw a correlation to me is, I think it'd be almost impossible. But basically the gist of this video is that good on Texas for wanting to reduce, or I mean they're going to, I think they've already signed it into law, or they're going to. It's going to help prevent mass shootings there, because in states that, if you look at the studies done by people like John Lott and stuff, they find correlations in literally every state that after they implement concealed carry, or they reduce the laws concerning the concealed carry, they always see reductions in crime. Now, usually it's very small. A lot of times it's only like a 2 or 3% thing, but it's always a reduction. So, I don't get it. I'm not sure what Trump is exactly thinking, because I think gun control is a massive losing issue. Because if you're on the right, you don't want gun control. If you're a moderate, you probably don't want gun control, at least strict gun control. And a lot of people on the left don't even want gun control. Like, a lot of people on the left are just for gun, or they're on the left because they want socialism, or they're a business Democrat or something along those lines. So I'll leave it there as far as this video goes. But like I said, good on Texas for relaxing their gun control. I think that'll help them prevent gun or mass shootings in the future. And I'm not sure what Trump's doing. I really hope they don't increase gun control, because it's not going to do anything. And the other thing too is that one of the reasons why they always propose increased gun control, and they increase gun control, is that either they know or they don't know. I think some of them know. I think some of them don't know. Is that increasing the gun control won't do anything. So they'll implement it. It won't do anything, and their solution is always, we didn't do it enough. We got to do it more. We got to do it more. So the other thing too, one last thing to mention, is that a likely, or I wouldn't say likely, but a very, very possible mass shooting was stopped, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, by a concealed carry holder. There was someone, I think it was even at a Walmart too, which is another testament to the media not blowing these people up, is that, it's a situation that could have been the exact same. I think a guy was caught or stopped with like hundreds of rounds of ammo and AR-15 or something along those lines. But it's like I said, that why isn't that story just as big in the news as these other two stories? Obviously, it's because the media has an agenda, but that should be talked about a lot more. And I thought I'd make sure to mention that, because a lot of these people that hear that the reasons for reducing gun control is to prevent mass shootings, it kind of boggles in their mind, because they never hear these kind of stories. But these stories happen all the time. Like, they happen more than the actual shootings. Like, guns are used more more often in self-defense than used in actual homicides or assaults or robberies. And that it should be talked about a lot more, and if you really care about this issue, you should be talking about that a lot more. But I'll leave it there. I don't want to talk too much about this issue. If you liked it, hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.